Good evening, everybody, and welcome to a very sleepy stream. We are here in Electric Sim Racing Series for the final time, perhaps ever, as I apologise there. So this is a very interesting event tonight, and I do apologise if I'm a little bit slow. I've had 3 hours of sleep and 8 hours of Daytona 24 hours commentary, so it's not been the most standard of Sundays for me, but we're back in all laggy beauty for the warm-up session here for the double header race at Watkins Glen first, then a quick reset and Macau. We should be done by 7:30 tonight, which doesn't make any sense at all actually. It doesn't matter. We will be back. We will be done in within an hour, I imagine. People doing donuts in the pits. The first race will be getting underway in a couple minutes time. I believe it's the standard 20-minute race. I'm not too sure, but what I do know is Joe Gillett took pole position, extending his championship lead to 21 points. If he wins, then he wins the championship, I think, straight off the bat. Excluding Maggio, although Maggio tends to only win a couple of races per season. Anyway, hopefully you can all hear me okay. I'm just going to set everything else up. I am very tired. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice, actually. It's not amazing. So, when did Sean say this league's going to end? Oh, it said... Okay, so it'll end about 8 o'clock. It's fine. It's fine. Anyway. Yes, Andrew, mate, this is the final season and the final race of ESRS. They are ending the league. It's over after this. No more races at all. This is... the Nguena car is back. That's interesting. As are horrific FPS issues, which is also interesting. Anyway, Watkins Glen. 40 seconds until we get underway with the race. It should be an interesting one, actually. Not sure why he was driving on 3 wheels there. Anyway. James Smith wishing everyone luck. No, I don't think there'll be a new version in RF2, Andrew. I believe this is it for the league. I think they're having a mini-series after this, but whether we'll cast that, I don't know. 3 hours of sleep and 20 minutes dictate that I can't make decisions right now. 1 second, I believe my... Never mind. Anyway, we are going into the...
Attention grid, all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
We are going into the next... going into the race. Now, it will be a 25-minute race, and it could potentially decide the championship. I promise, I am actually excited for this. Is weird. I've already said welcome to ESRS for the final time. Anyway, the second... Are we having a warm-up lap? I believe we are having a warm-up lap. Yes, there is a warm lap. There we go. I believe now I can start. There we go. Everything's sorted now. There's Halil is slow. Well, slow. He's stalled on the line. And we've restarted warm up. Okay, I'll be right.
Attention grid, will all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
We are back. And we are ready to get this race underway. Finally, the penultimate round ever of the Electric Sim Racing Series. Apart from their mini-series. But that doesn't count. Anyway. Big difference between sprint commentary and endurance commentary is that I actually have to talk about the race in this. Halil hasn't shifted yet. He has shifted now. He's back. Anyway, Joe Gillett is leading us off of the line, taking us through a lap of Watkins Glen, the formation lap. This is the first ever lap of Watkins Glen I've seen outside Forza. It's one of those tracks I've actually only ever driven in a Forza Motorsport game. I've obviously, I don't often play Forza, but when I did, this was one of those tracks you always seem to drive some random banger car in or something. Decent flow to it, actually, in all of its 17 million layouts. He has got a nice flow. To be fair to the track, I believe the final corner here is really quite fast. I could be getting confused with somewhere else. Possibly Road America, Road Atlanta, but I don't know. My brain can't compute. It does feel weird that it's been what is it? Almost a year actually of commentating this series, and all of a sudden it's poof gone. You know, in fact, no, it has been a year of commentary for me now. Val's season 4 started this time last year, and wow, it's been a year. Existential crisis aside, we're ready to start what is perhaps my final but one R-Factor 1 commentary. Finally get to uninstall this game. Can't wait. Anyway, we do wait for the lights. It's a bit of a long wait, but we are waiting for the lights. 4 lights. And it is lights out, and away we go for the penultimate time in the Electric Sim Racing Series. It's a 25-minute sprint race, and Joe Gillett has had a perfect start. Jason O is trying to challenge him into turn 1, and Maggio tries to go for the move, unable to quite make anything of it. Joe is controlling this lead at the minute. As it stands, he will be the champion of this series, I believe. Yes, he will. He needs a 4-point advantage to Maggio behind, I believe, to win the championship. Basically, if he wins, he has won the championship. It's 3 wide behind between Sean, Maggio and James. Sean's had to back out of it, and James has already gone into the wall. He's lost his front wing, and that is James out of the championship. David Kapicki's gone off. Halil Sahin has gone off. James is pretty much out of this championship entirely now. Sean has let him through, though. That was quite nice of Sean. Dimitri has arrived. That's lovely. But now Maggio trying to go forward for the lead, although the stewards probably have to have a look at that one. I didn't quite see it in all of its entirety. Sorry. Maggio has got past Jason Ho quite easily. He clearly wants this championship, although I'm sure Joe wants it more. Joe deserves the championship, really. He's driven really well this season. Heading to the final corner. Maggio's got a better run on Joe. Heading into the... heading down the pit straight. Heading into the first corner. Maggio on the inside. And I think he is going to get past Joe. He is. He is a man on a mission. Joe's really struggling, actually. Now, down in third position, he still will have the lead of the championship, but it will basically, at this point, go to a straight shootout. We are only 2 minutes into the race, though, and there's still a long time to go. I apologise for the swear words in chat. James Smith will feel so bitterly disappointed. He would be probably in the lead of the championship, hadn't he have had disconnects and just little things earlier on in the season. But somehow, he's driven himself out of the championship. Really. And now down in 8th position, dead last. Maggio, however, is struggling himself a little bit now to defend from these two sharks. Ready to pounce. Joe around the outside. Jason makes a little bit of a mistake, and Joe is able to capitalise into the fast left-hander. And the final fast right-hander onto the pit straight. Maggio gets all out of shape and he's weaving. Maggio needs to watch this. He often changes his direction mid-straight and you aren't actually allowed to do that. Joe is still in the slipstream of Maggio, trying to make this move. He wants the championship quite desperately. He's through on Maggio. It's like once these three electric sim racing series cars. No one's really so far in these early laps been able to make any inroads and just kind of control the race, but I'm sure we'll see that happen as Maggio almost makes contact with Joe. You have to bear in mind the netcode. My ping when I stream this server is awful for some reason. Maggio now around the outside of Joe. There's wheel to wheel and Joe's just going to have to yield, I think. You can see Maggio right there and Joe trying his best to just control this race and Maggio is having none of it. These cars are very fast though. You can see down the straight he's getting up to 300 k's almost. Maggio really quite well trying to just stay ahead with all he's worth, but it's a slipstream fast as Joe straight past. This leading pack has really built out a nice gap. 10 seconds to Dimitri behind, and Joe is currently leading, and Jason has lost the pack a little bit. Heading through the next left-hander, and they are wheel to wheel. This is excellent stuff. This is exactly how you want to decide a championship. The Macau race, though, is where it's going to really get interesting. 19 minutes to go. 20 minutes, sorry. 90 minutes and 55 seconds to go in this race. You'd think that after 8 hours of Daytona commentary, this would be a little bit shorter, but as a matter of fact, this is probably the longest thing I have commentated. Really, just of how intense this battle has been. Joe not quite able to do anything into the pit straight, and Maggio collects Joe, and Joe's upside down. Joe's able to get back going again, but it's going to let Dimitri through. I can't see replays, and Sean gets out of shape there. Maggio is out of the race. And James Smith in last position. Where is James? James is really far behind, but as it stands, Joe Gillett is the champion. simply, Maggio's driven himself out of it. James has driven himself out of it. Maggio's lost the car, taking out Joe as well. Well, that's not going to matter. He's going to have way too big of an advantage over James for anything to matter. Joe needs to keep it on the road for 18 minutes, and he's won the championship. Rendering Macau actually pretty pointless. It'll be interesting to see if the league does actually run Macau, if the championship is decided already. I personally would quite like my tea. Maggio acting as if Joe's just won the championship when it isn't actually over yet. James is still, believe it or not, in this fight. It seems like his chances have been squandered very much. But nonetheless, James will stay in the fight. Anything could happen. Joe could have a disconnect or something like that, and it will be difficult heading into the final round. Remember, that's a 21-point gap, and it will be difficult heading into the final round for James. But if Joe does DNF, then, well, it's not completely impossible. Halil Sahin is having an awful race. Embarrassing, really, on his half. Dimitri, well, of course this man would turn up last minute and have an intense recovery drive from last position to go and get a podium and start catching first position. Of course Dimitri would. That's just how Dimitri operates. That's how Dimitri does this. The keyboard warrior. And a fitting way to send off the series if Dimitri does take home this podium. Joe is not out of this one either himself. It's very much in his control now, which is what he would have wanted. Maggio was fighting way too hard for that, I feel, that early in the race. He needed to sort of stay behind Joe, just work with him to build that gap, and then attack him in the final stages. Battling for the entire race gives you nothing. Maggio would be a brilliant driver who just kind of kept his head. Rather than rather than going for it every opportunity. Eyes are on James and Joe now. They're only two people who can win the championship. Not looking great for Jake. Who's Jake? Oh my goodness me. James, not looking good for James, but I'm sure he can make something here. Although it is a pretty long time. It's very long. Look at that gap. It is pretty much over as now. Joe's caught Sean, and this isn't playing into the hands nicely for James. It's playing into the hands nicely for Joe. If he makes this pass, then he's on the podium, and he can really just start to push, get his head down, and just get to the end of this race. 15 minutes to go. 15 minutes until he will get his first ever League Racing Championship. Something that Joe really deserves during this lockdown period. For sure. 5 months seems like an age. It has pretty much been an entire year, and Joe has deserved every bit of it from the Virtual Open Wheel Series, where he had a really disappointing Season 5 in hindsight, to OFC, where there's more disappointment. Joe deserves some form of championship. Is he going to box? Not at the end of this lap. He's chosen not to box. Remember, James doesn't actually have to box again, whereas Joe does. So if that is a 20-second gap, it could get a bit interesting here. It could get interesting, actually. I didn't think about that. It could get very interesting. Joe has got to focus now. If he should work with Sean, really, but I don't think he's going to, and he is going to box this lap, is he? Yes. Okay, now we need to watch this. That camera isn't working for some reason. So it's Halil Sahin is having an awful race. He needs to sort that out. But you can see Joe is off the jacks, I think. You can see David Kapicki has got past comfortably. Whether or not we're going to see James crest over the hill, he is. This is going to be very close. In fact, Joe's not even stopped yet. James has soared past. It has lost him too much time. Joe is out off the jacks and James has had a perfect... Well, this strategy's worked for him. I believe third position would work fine for James to stay in the championship, but Joe being behind him isn't ideal. Of course, if he outscores Joe, he can still win the championship. There we go, and double check for you the championship standings. So this could get very interesting. So the championship standings as of last round. Taking Maggio out of the equation because Maggio cannot win the championship providing Joe finishes. My Discord doesn't want to load. Hello, please. Anyway. Providing Joe finishes, Maggio cannot win the championship. 85 points for James. 102 for Joe. £17 points in it. But you get 3 for pole. 15, 16, 17. So it's 20. 20 points. So if James was to finish 5th, he would pick up 10 points, and Joe would pick up 8 points, bringing that gap down to 18 points, which means James would need 2nd place and Joe to DNF next race, if it was to finish as is. James's championship is not over, and in fact he's now into 4th position. This is working out perfectly for the British driver. Sean! Oh dear. What happened there? That wasn't ideal at all. That gap is not big at all. James needs to look over his shoulder but also stay calm and collected. He knows that if that gap's within 25 points, he can get the win. He can get enough points to take the championship in the end. 10 minutes to go in this one, and then we go for another 25-minute race around Macau. David Kapicki has had an accident, actually. This is going to allow James possibly to have a run on him and create that distance that he also needs to Joe. He's going to breeze past, and it's so vital he doesn't have an accident. If he has an accident, his championship is surely over. David isn't stupid. He's going to let him go through. Good move from Oh no, David almost takes out Joe. That'll be his race over. James up into 3rd position. That would give him 15 out of the 21 points he needs. But Joe is also behind him, which is another 12 points. So he'd actually only get the gap down by 3 points if it was to finish as it is. Realistically, James needs Joe to not finish this race for him to be able to take the championship. But anyone who relies on a DNF is wishful thinking. Let's have a look at James's the rear camera from James's Ascensa racing car. The two teammates having a duel, and you can see Joe is catching him. Joe is the faster driver around this circuit. James just needs to know how to defend. Jason Ho hasn't made a pit stop yet. He hasn't put a foot wrong. Something I haven't been focusing on. Dimitri Giannopoulos has gone into the lead of the race. I've only just realised these cars have those IndyCar protectors on them. I didn't realise that. Anyway, Dimitri in the lead of this race. stellar job from the Greek, the man from Greece. And this is interesting now. James could end up in second position once Jason has made his pit stop. It's really all about how this works out. 8 minutes to go. I'm not holding my breath for James's championship hopes, but it certainly could be a possibility. 30 minutes until the second race gets underway, and then it really becomes crunch time in this championship. Joe's made a slight mistake, possibly got a little bit of damage there. Heading through budget 130R. Everyone, as I said, it seems to be calm. The battle for the lead is non-existent, really. 24 seconds. 45 seconds for James. There's been a crash. No, there hasn't. It's me. No, there has. It's Halil Sahin, who just awful. Awful performance. 4 laps down. I mean, abysmal would be putting it lightly. You can see the other ascents are ready to gobble up this position if he gets the chance. James is really got to push here. 7 minutes to go. I don't know if Sean's watching, but I suggest because of the delay, it'd be cool if we did a reverse race for the next one. But that gap is down to 1 point something seconds now. Joe would be in DRS range if this was Formula 1. That gap is coming down, and it could go to the wire in this race, actually. I don't think James is going to let Joe through. But what I do know is it's going to be Macau that is the most important race, providing all of this goes well. James needs to get pole and win in Macau pretty much. And just hope Joe doesn't finish. Or finishes low enough down the order. Dimitri is currently in the lead of the race. Doing an excellent job controlling the pace. 5 minutes to go. David Kapicki off there. You could just see that instant in the top of your screen. Not ideal at all, but nonetheless. Sean climbing his way up the hill, but none of this matters as it is for this battle now, and the battle is on. If Joe makes this move, remember he has won the championship by a landslide margin at that. I believe he's won the championship. He would have done, yes, because of the way the points work out. It's an extra 3 points on James, and he wouldn't have won the championship, but it would basically be the end of James's championship hopes, realistically. He is defending from this one now, though, as Joe's weaving all over the place. I'm not sure he really wants this position. To be honest, I think he very much wants to hold station and just kind of have the battle, really. I hope we don't see team orders in the sense that Joe lets James, his boss, win the championship. But it would be interesting here. Hopefully they don't hit each other. We have seen these two ascenders come together in the past. It has been a very fierce battle, and I think any other year James would have won this championship, but It's all about now, and I don't think he's going to, I don't think he's going to pull through here. Nonetheless, he will try and he will defend for 3 minutes and 30 seconds. That being said, Joe breezes around the outside, and it is going to be a contest of the late breakers, and James has conceded the position. Joe is through, and Joe has all but won the championship now. Back around the outside, James almost hit each other. They don't quite. Joe has a little bit of oversteer on the exit, slides it round that corner. Not the fastest, but certainly the most stylish. Now he's going to attack back at... Or James is going to attack back at Joe. Not quite make it. 2 minutes and 45 seconds to go. And I think that would mean Joe wraps up the championship roughly. It's 15 points to 100. Joe's on 105. 15 is a 20-point gap. And that would go to 23 points. So yes, Joe has all but wrapped up the championship. Oh no! No, he hasn't. He's spun. He's lost the car. It isn't going to end his championship, but it's certainly going to help James a little bit. That gap has gone from 20 points to 17 points, and James can manage that. So, assuming it stays as it is, this would mean James needs to finish at least second. Hope Joe doesn't get pole. And Joe needs to score no points, and James would win the championship, finishing second. Or if he finishes first, Joe would need to not finish in the top 5, I believe. Interesting. Very interesting. But nothing should detract from this man, Dimitri Giannopoulos. Amazing recovery drive, and in fact there's a battle that could be materialising here. 3.7 seconds, the gap heading into the final minutes. I believe it will be the final lap. Dimitri must pit. I don't think he's realised that. Oh dear. This might not be amazing for Dimitri. James could actually end up taking this win. Oh, he has. Never mind. Jason has pit as well. Brilliant drive from Dimitri. Simple as pie. It really has been. He's breezed through the field. He is a class of his own. Not quite championship winning quality, but certainly enough. In fact, this might not even be his final lap. He's about to start his final lap. He's not going to slow down, that's for sure. It's not over. It is for Jason, who's going to cross the line in second position. James is going to cross his line in third, assuming everything goes well, and Dimitri's going to win by a lap, because of course he is. Simple as that. So, it is going to go to a straight duel for the championship at Macau. And we will be back for that race in a few minutes' time. Well, welcome back to the stream. You are joining us. You are joining us now in Macau. Change of environment, change of continent, as we are magically shifted all the way across the ocean to this famous circuit. It is one-shot qualifying. James Smith is one of the first out on track. If one has one shot, I'm just going to double check. Anyway, this is Dimitri Giannopoulos making his way around this famous little circuit. Of course, everyone wants to win the Macau Grand Prix, especially as it's the last race of this championship, or at least the last meaningful race of this championship, the last official championship race, if you will. And it's so tight that anything can happen. Mostly our bit rate goes up there. I can see already all of these drivers struggling to navigate the tight streets of this province. James getting a bit of oversteer, and what's happened? Something's happened. Anyway, he's going to have to watch out because Dimitri is right behind him in his mirrors. James warming his tyres aggressively as he waits to go for his qualifying lap here. It is a long circuit, is this Macau Grand Prix track. Of course, Formula 3 cars this is suited for, and luckily we've got Formula 3 cars, albeit electric. So, how it works. James needs 18 points at least to win the championship. He's got one shot to take the pole position. If he gets pole position, then all he has to do is finish third and hope Joe doesn't score. And if Joe gets pole position, James has to win. He's bolted now. This is the one. It's now or never. Heading down the penultimate straight now, I believe. I don't actually know this track. I'm winging it a little bit. Fast right-hander, of course. We've seen so many incidents there going past the pit straight, and now this is where it has started. Turn one, completely flat, foot to the floor. Setting up nicely for a sweeping right-hander. It's quick, it's still flat. James trying to get the most out of this car to win the championship. Breaks as late as possible, down to second gear, kisses the apex, and then out. Back to the outside, setting up for the next corner. Sweeping corners now. This is the one-shot lap, and so far, so good. He's made a little bit of a mistake now, but I'm sure he can recover. He's going to hug that apex like his favourite granny, as Martin Rundle would say. Keep down the fast-flowing Sector 2 of this Macau circuit, down to this nice little harbourfront area. Through, again, so many fast, sweeping right-handers in this circuit. Here's another one. Medium speed corner. Of course, that's really where the cars start to struggle for downforce. They start to get away from you, and that's when you can make mistakes, especially in the slow speeds on the exits, especially with a lot of these people being on controllers. The exits can be so difficult. He's going to take a wide line, late apex for the first hairpin. Heading down to the... there isn't a second hairpin. I'm misremembering the track there. Anyway. Sector 3 now. .154 to beat from Joe Gillett. James heading through the final corner now. Using all of the curb. It should have been flat. I don't think he's made it, has he? He has! He's got pole position by 1.7 seconds. What a lap. What a lap! And that is qualifying. I don't quite know what I've seen there. That is a man who wants to win the championship. And it's a simple job now for the British driver. He's got to win and finish 15 points ahead of Joe Gillett. Joe Gillett in second place. Wow. So that wasn't a good idea from James. James wants to start last because he just loves to shoot himself in the foot whenever he's about to win a championship. So it's going to be a very, very... If Joe finishes the race and James wins, then, well, James has to finish third or higher. James has to finish third or higher, and Joe has to finish in the top 4 if James wins. Very interesting. Very interesting. It is just a straight shootout now. Oh, I'm still on. Oh, interesting. Anyway, James is intent on starting last here, which is a little bit stupid. I'm gonna have to. Wow. Okay. So they want to skip the formation lap. This is going to take about 15 different attempts. Anyway. So, James has to win, and Joe has to finish in the top 4. Oh, sorry, James has to finish in the top 3, and if James wins, Joe has to finish in the top 4. James comes second, Joe just has to finish, I believe. Alright, we are...
Attention grid, all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
It is the final ever race of the electric sim racing series. Everyone's intent on skipping the formation lap, which is causing me a bit of a headache. But, you know, everything for the... So, a couple of problems, as you can imagine. Really not building the suspense very well, is Matty. Anyway, I'm pretty dreaming. Anyway, It is going to be intense. I think Joe will probably win the championship. All he's got to do is keep it on the road, and he's going to keep it on the road. Let's be honest. And everyone's just talking about editing the grid and stuff like that. I've got to go and walk a dog, which is bloody annoying. Straight after this race as well. Oh, it's meant to be 10 minutes ago. Very interesting. Very interesting. I think now this is where, I mean, the drivers don't really care, do they? It's all a bit of fun, but still, you're going to kick yourself if you don't win the championship. Right, James has moved into position 8. For some reason he wants to...
Attention grid, will all non-essential personnel leave the grid now.
Anyway, we now have the simple job of waiting for the lights. They want to stay in their grid slots. Joe Gillett is on pole position. This is your grid for the ESRS Championship finale. Joe's messed it up. It's not going to work now. It's Joe move. Is it? Or maybe it is. Right, we go to 4 red lights. And it's go for the final ever race of the Electric Sim Racing Series Championship. It's been a perfect start for Joe Gillett. James Smith has had a decently good start in the back. He's already up to 6th position, 5th position now. He's really fighting for this in this one. Everyone ahead is trying to just get into their rhythm early. One simple mistake and you can easily lose a wheel or something at this circuit. 25 minutes left in the championship. 25 minutes for everything to happen, really. They're trying to make it 3 wide there. Mattia Melissa has spun. What an amazing save there from James as Joe spun. James is through into 2nd place. And I can't quite figure out how he's got 18 points. He would win the championship from this position. He has ideally got to get into that 1st place spot, though. What an amazing first few corners. It's all about keeping it together, though, now. It's all about keeping it together. This is going to be like Brazil 2008. All James needs to do is get into that 1st position slot, and he has won the championship, providing Joe can't muster up a pass on Dimitri. Sean, all over the spot, all over the shop. We're going to have a look further back. Joe Gillett really trying to fight for this. He has got that 4th position. James is through on the lead, not quite. Sean is just holding into this as we go into one of the tightest sections of the track. The hairpin, Sean's just messed up a little bit, and James is through. Joe Gillett is in 3rd position though, which means he would win the championship, but only just. Side by side, and we're going to go further back, and it's Dimitri and Mattia Melissa fighting. So it is Joe's championship to lose now. But all it takes is a loss of front wing or something like that, and all of a sudden, it's gone away. If one more person retires from this race, Joe is guaranteed to win the race. Sean going for that move, though. It's a very adventurous move from Sean Jones. He has made it stick, but it was very daring. It isn't helping James. He needs to pull away from Joe as fast as he can, and Sean's been tapped around. James lets him through. It's good sportsmanship. this is where it gets really quite intense. It's a straight shootout for the championship. 5 people left remaining. Macau is such... It's such a difficult circuit to get right. It's the last time you'll probably hear those electric engines of these ESRS Formula 3 cars. James still all over the back of Sean. He's going to try and make the pass around the outside. There's not quite enough room for 2 there. Into the tighter sections of the track now. As if this track wasn't tight enough. It gets even tighter heading into the famous hairpin. You take a very wide line. You cut back for the apex. Try and just kiss that apex. And then get back on the power. So James needs to win the championship. Jake. And then Joe to finish 4th. It's not looking good for James. But that is the kind of move that wins you the championship. We can watch this from Joe behind. Joe knows now he needs to not challenge these 2. It's not about the win, it's about the championship. All he has to do at this point is pretty much finish. And as long as he's in the top 4, he's won the championship himself. He wants a boring race now. Dimitri and Mattia are having a bit of a scrap further back. Dimitri, who won last race, is holding off pretty well. Heading into the next sweeping right-hander, and Dimitri's has been hit, and there's yellow flags ahead. That's Sean Jones. And almost a massive pile-up. That is damning for the championship, really. Apparently, James has done something to Sean. Sean, no doubt, a little bit annoyed. Saying Alex Hallows quotes. Actually, very interesting. Anyway. It's now on a sensor 1-2. And, the championship isn't going too well for James here. Although, to be fair, Joe could get overtaken by both of these guys, and he's still going to 4th though. It wouldn't be enough for the. It would be enough for the championship. So Joe can afford to get overtaken. Heading into the hairpin. So difficult to get the right lock on these cars to get that hairpin right. Such a game of chess at this point. James has got a drive-through penalty. He wants to make this hard for himself. He really does. Although I think this drive-through penalty is probably going to cost him the championship in the end. There is a scrap for this for 4th position. But most importantly, the championship is in Joe's hands. And James has got a drive-through penalty. This is when you start to think, could this have gone better in this championship? Could this little thing happen that has played into my favour, or was it just that I was outclassed? It's very much Joe's time here, unless he has a horrendous accident. He's won this championship quite easily, actually. Oh dear. I thought he disconnected then. That would have been a bad way to win the championship. Jason Ho is retired. No, he's left the game. Sorry, not retired. Joe's struggling to make the hairpin, though I imagine most people are struggling to make the hairpin. James has got a 3.3 second advantage, and this is the final corner, and he's going to come in to serve his drive-through penalty, I believe. One more corner, sorry. There you go. He's found the pit entry and he is serving the dry pit penalty. He's got to be on the limiter at the lights. Oh dear! Oh no! Oh dear! It's game, set and match. It is game, set and match. There's no coming back from that. Joe will be smiling away. The championship is practically his. Unless he DNFs, obviously. (16 minutes and 25 seconds remaining). You are, if you're just joining us, this is the Macau E-Prix, the doubleheader season finale here in the Electric Sim Racing Series. And such a close event it has been. Joe Gillett, though, is currently in driving seat to win this championship. And yeah, that's pretty much the TLDR on this one. James in 3rd position, Sean in 4th position, Mattia Melissa in 3rd position. I have messed up my words there. Joe has very much driven a champion's drive so far. He just needs to round out this season now. (15 minutes and 7 laps remaining in this race. It's so close as Mattia Melissa has made a mistake, I imagine, into the pit box. Let's let James through, who has boxed, so doesn't need to make another mandatory pit stop. He's now in 3rd position, so if Joe does DNF, now, then James has won the championship from this position. Although he needs to get a move on his crashing if he wants to do his teammates a big favour. Although Joe's not going to at this point, he's in his rhythm. He's driving so well. Not only is he on course to win Macau, he is on course to win the championship. Though Dimitri might have something to say about the Macau bit. I can't imagine Dimitri having a fire on his hands, really. I think Joe will very much just let him go, trying to avoid an accident. That hairpin is so difficult. What's happened there? James has lost his front wing again, and I think he's going to retire. It's game, set, and match again. It's a royal thrashing here, as James is reversing down the track. Trying to get the right way again. He can't get the right way again. He is finally back up and running, but he's got the he's not the hotel hairpin, that's Monaco. He has got the hairpin to come, and Joe is in the pit lane. It's my bad. But he's going to come out in 2nd place. Perfect job by Joe. Mattia's going to struggle with that. Sean's going to go through on James. Oh dear. Well, that was Sean's fault. I'm not sure what happened there. James unleashes his clutch and is back up and running, although any attempt seems rather feeble at this point. Oh, dear. He's out. Joe has won the championship. No matter what, Joe is the champion. I mean, might as well just red flag the race. With 12 minutes to go, Joe Gillett is the champion. And, well, he's slowing down. Well, the race is still going on. Somehow, only 4 finishers left. I mean, we might as well red flag it at this point, but that's not important. The championship is over. And we've got... So, very interesting. Very interesting. My team Melissa could actually get a podium. Here's not looking too great for him, though. As James Smith has officially left the game, so it is Joe is undeniably the champion at this point. He's just got just over 5 laps now. 6 laps, I imagine, actually. And Dimitri has got also about 6 laps, I think. And then he'll be... he'll have won the Macau E-Prix. Mattia Melissa has had another incident, lost his front wing again. Surely he's going to retire? I don't know. But surely with 3 people and the 40-second gap from Joe to Sean, you'd want to red flag the race, maybe? So we can all go home. I don't know. It's very interesting. It's been a good series. Mattia's got suspension damage. His race is over. Sean's ball riding. That's lovely. Sean's being very aggressive in his steering. What's happened here? Is this been a pad disconnect? What? Why is he steering into the wall? Is that wall riding? I believe they call it. I don't know. Alright, 9 minutes and 25 seconds to go. Joe's roaring through to this 2nd place finish and championship, and Dimitri is roaring through to the win. There's nothing to fight for now. This race is practically over, and if you don't mind me saying, it's been a boring race. It's been a very boring race. 8 minutes now and 40 seconds to go. These solo commentaries are so difficult. Oh dear, that is race leader Dimitri Giannopoulos making a mistake, a rare mistake. 7 minutes left in this race. Now, Dimitri Giannakis, Joe Gillett and Sean Jones is your podium positions, and Mattia Melissa is he's carrying on without her front wing. Lovely. Not that he's got anything to lose. Joe's slowly building this, closing this gap to Dimitri, but nowhere near significantly enough. And in 3 or so laps, I don't think he's really going to have much to do with that. 3 or 4 laps it'll work out. Mattia Melissa's about to get blue flagged. Or meet the wall. One of the two. And there's nothing more really to say in this one, as the championship was decided so early on in this race. That hairpin section is so difficult to get right for these drivers. But you can see the gap Dimitri has got before Joe even appears around this circuit. But the way Macau's model is quite nice, actually. Joe has got no front wing. What has happened there is Dimitri has messed up his pit entry, but has entered the pits nonetheless. For his mandatory pit stop. Joe's going to have to enter the pits at the end of this lap for his mandatory pit stop. No, he's already had his mandatory pit stop, but he is going to have to enter the pits at the end of this lap for his wing change. Or is he going to brave it? He's not going to brave it. Dimitri is back out, and with the gap as you were. I'm afraid it's way too long of a gap to Sean for him to even worry about it. But how quick is this stop going to be? It was decent. So, 4 minutes left in this race, or approximately 2 laps for Dimitri at the end of this one. It's been a very dull race for a season finale after what it promised to be. But ESRS has been a fun little championship, and we probably will see you for the mini-series at the end of it. It's either going to be 2 or 3 laps. We'll have to see what it is when Dimitri crosses the line. I believe, yes, looking at this, it will be just the 2 laps. Then he'll cross the line as the winner. And Joe will cross the line as the official champion. I mean, there was no doubt, but I feel like when you cross the line, that's when you can really start to celebrate. Anyway, as Dimitri spun, that's going to lose him quite a lot of time. Joe's going to have to really push here to try and overtake and try and take this to his advantage. I think he's just not going to. It's 18-second gap. There's not even close. But that's going to shave off quite a bit off the race time, actually. We'll still have 2 laps to go, but it's going to be a lot less. It's going to be a lot less close than it was initially. But nonetheless, there's 2 laps. It is what it is, says James. Indeed. So it's a Latvian coined that term. It's disappointing mainly, not because I wanted anyone to win the championship. It's just the way it's just the way it ended is the thing that's anticlimactic. It just feels like the rest of this race has been a drag because, well, Joe's basically had to cruise to the finish line as Dimitri is going to start his final lap of the race momentarily. As he spun again, but it's going to be okay. If he really takes his time, he could end up with this being the checker flag run, although I imagine not. We'll have at least one more lap after this. I say at least, it will be exactly 1 more lap. I think everyone needs to agree to slow down now and just get this race over with. So 1 minute 54 seconds is the pole time. And that has just crossed, so it means the next lap will be Dimitri's last. Heading into the hairpin for the penultimate time. He's just going to make it. Lovely line, actually, from Dimitri. Didn't quite hit the apex, but nice nonetheless. Heading down to the back straight for one final time. For the penultimate time, I apologise. And just like that, is going to start his final lap of the race. I mean, we might as well share this final lap of the race with you all. So, gear indicators on. So Dimitri's going to kiss that first apex and once. Anyway, luckily, this is the final lap for Dimitri, final lap for Joe, and Joe's on 3 wheels. We have missed that, I will say. Joe is on 3 wheels, taking this to the line. So that'll be interesting once Dimitri crosses the line. In fact, taking the hairpin on 3 wheels is going to be very interesting. Anyway, for the final time in this championship, we're going to take you through on the visor cam proper. So looking to that apex, Dimitri is going to then search for the next apex. He's going to take the racing line, take a wide line, slowly move through there. Next major corner is the hairpin. And you want to search for that apex nice and early. Get the car turned in, rotated as much as you can. Use the throttle on the exit, perhaps, to sort of turn you round. And then this will be the checkered flag. He will have won Macau. And it will be a dominant performance from Dimitri in these 2 races tonight. He's going to cross the line as the winner of Macau. Brilliant drive from a brilliant driver. Exactly how the series should have ended. So Joe Gillett is going to join Peter Jones and Marco Carrigal as the champion once he crosses the line. He's taken the hairpin, albeit in a crashing fashion, and on 3 wheels. He is going to cross the line. It says Glock. Is that Glock going slowly? No, unfortunately it's not. No quite drama here. And Joe is going to simply take his merry time because he is the champion. It's about time he got some form of championship, and this is the one in the final series of ESRS. Joe is the champion. So anyway, I have got to quickly dash, so I've got to go walk a dog. Anyway, we would like to thank you all very much for watching, and we will see you all for the